So for this equation, y equals -5 cosine parentheses 3x minus pi parentheses where we're looking to find the amplitude. So as you can see the formula below, y equals a cosine parentheses x minus c parentheses. You can see that we're looking for a, which a is -5, but then to find the amplitude we have to look for the absolute value of -5. So the amplitude is 5, so it makes the answer F5.
Okay, so this is chapter 4B test version B number 2. The problem is to solve y equal to arc sine of 1/2. So the first step to the equation is to first look at the equation. So when we look at it, arc basically means the inverse of sine. After looking at the inverse of sine, you then are able to switch y and 1/2. And then you get 1/2 of sine equals y. After doing that, you're then able to look at, so we already identified the switch. So then next is the RTD, which is to restrict the domain. So then in our notes, we look back and realize that the restriction of the domain is between -pi/2 and pi/2. So then we look at our unit circle and we see where 1/2 is in sine. So when we look at this, we see that cosine is on the left side of the parentheses and sine is on the right side. So since 1/2 is positive on this sign, right across is also 1/2, which is in the sign of the parentheses. So then we can see that our two equations or two things are pi/6 and 5pi/6. So then we do y equals pi/6 and 5pi/6. So since they're both over 6 and these are over 2, we're going to try and find the common denominators. So we multiply by 3/3. And then we get -3pi/6 and 3pi/6. So then we look at the domain and we see that only pi/6 can fit inside here because 5pi/6 is past the domain. So then our answer, final answer, is y equals pi/6.
Question 3, multiple choice. Given the function y equals 3 minus 2 cosine parentheses 4x minus 5. Determine the period and phase shift. So what you have to do is divide this by 4, both of these, and then this cancels out, and the new equation would be y equals 3 minus 2 cosine of 4, and then x minus 5/4. This right here is your c value. This is your b value. This is your a value, and this is your d value. So to find period, you're going to have to use the equation 2pi/b. So you enter 2pi and then enter your b value, which is 4, and that equals pi/2. So this is your b value. And for your a value, which is the, for phase shift, that would be c, and that would equal, c equals 5/4 to the right. That's it. The answer would be B.
So question number 4 is asking us to find the value of tan of arc cosine of radical 2/2. Now another way of writing arc cosine is the inverse of cosine, just like this. And now you pick your favorite Greek letter minus beta, and you do the switch. So now we have cosine of beta equals radical 2/2. And then we find the trig function for cosine, which is x/r. And you plug it into the triangle that I'm going to draw right here, just to give you an idea of where it is. and x is going to be right around here, so equals radical 2, and r is going to be equals 2. Now we need to find the y value, so we're going to do Pythagorean Theorem, and it's r squared equals x squared plus y squared. So now you just plug it in like this, and this gives us 4 equals 2 plus y squared. You subtract from both sides and you get 2 equals y squared. So you square it to get rid of this square right here, and you get radical 2 equals y. You just plug it in right here. And now we gotta find tangent. So tangent's trig function is y over x, which gives us radical 2 over radical 2. And since it's the same two values in both over here and over here, then we just get 1. And it's answer number 1.
Okay, so this is question A on the chapter 4B test, and I'm basically going to explain sine of 10, negative 1, 1/2. Basically, you're just going to switch the half, and then, what is it, beta? What is this? Alpha? Okay. You're going to switch the half with alpha, just so you can get rid of the negative 1, the inverse. And then so basically it's just going to be tan of alpha is 1/2, and then this is the y value 1, and then the x value is 2, and then basically you're going to draw the graph, and then you put the x on the x-axis obviously, and it's going to be 2, and then the y value on the y-axis. And then to find the r, the radius, you're going to do the Pythagorean Theorem. So it's r squared equals x squared plus y squared. And then from that, 2 squared plus 1 squared is 4, plus 1, so 5. And then you square that, and then you get plus or minus radical 5. So then the radius would be radical 5. And then from there, you're finding sine of alpha. So sine is y over r. And then so you're going to take the y value 1, and then you're going to put, oh my god, and then you're going to put radical 5 under it for the in the denominator for the r value. And then because you can't have a radical in the denominator, you're going to multiply the equation radical 5 over radical 5, and then sine of alpha is radical 5 over 5.
Alright, so first thing you're going to do is write down the equation. So it's bx minus c. Then you have to identify these. So it'll be a, b, c, and d. A equals negative 2, b equals 1, c equals pi over 2, but it's to the right because add to x and you go left, but so then that means if you subtract it, then you go to the right. And d equals none because there's no d right there. And then to make the graph, the x, you put the period. Oh, the period is pi over b, and then you put b equals 1, so pi over 1 is pi. So then the period for that would be 0, pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, and pi. Then we have to write 10x, and then the equation for this, or the period for this, would be 0, 1, undefined, negative 1, 0. And since the phase shift, hold on, let me write down first. Since the phase shift is to go to the right, you would have to change this to undefined, negative 1, 0, 1, undefined. Then since you're adding the negative 2 to it, times this, that would mean that you get undefined, 2, 0, negative 2, undefined. And then just pause. Okay, so now that we have our graph here, we can start graphing. So the U means that it's undefined. So 0 is undefined right here. Pi is also undefined, so this will be undefined. If we see this side of the graph, this would also be undefined. This is the same on both sides. And then, so pi over 4 would be 2. Right here. Or pi over 2 would be 0. 3 pi over 4 would be -2. And then, since these are both undefined, we go like this. So we never reach any of these two sides. And then if we see like this is the same thing as this side, then we would say that this one would be 2, this would be 0, this would be -2, so it would go like that.